The afternoon sun filtered through the lace curtains of the small bungalow, casting delicate shadows across the hardwood floor that Eleanor Grace Thompson had polished herself just that morning. At 68, her hands bore the marks of a lifetime. Calluses etched deep from years of labor, faint scars from factory machines and kitchen knives, lines that told stories no one in her family seemed to notice anymore. She settled into her favorite armchair, a sturdy oak piece with faded green cushions she'd reupholstered twice since buying it at a church sale 30 years ago. The faint aroma of vanilla from the candle on the side table mingled with the crisp scent of the lemon polish she used on the wood. Her phone, a modest model she'd mastered through patient YouTube tutorials and tips from her neighbor Clara, buzzed softly in her lap. Eleanor wasn't one for fancy gadgets, but she enjoyed the simple pleasures: recipe reels, gardening tips, and the occasional video of kittens chasing yarn. That day, though, the algorithm had other plans. She tapped open the app, expecting another Sardo tutorial, but instead, the screen filled with the face of her daughter-in-law, Lydia. The young woman beamed into the camera, her auburn hair swept into a sleek bun, wearing a coral sweater Eleanor had knitted for her last Christmas. The background music was upbeat, a trendy pop tune Eleanor didn't recognize. "Hey, friends, want the tea on living with a mother-in-law?" Lydia's voice was bright, almost theatrical, as she leaned closer to the lens. Eleanor's heart gave a hopeful flutter. Maybe Lydia was sharing a sweet family moment. But then the camera panned to the kitchen, Eleanor's kitchen, where she'd been scrubbing pancake batter off the counter just hours ago. There she was, visible from behind in her faded blue apron with tiny daisy prints, the one she'd worn since her husband Samuel passed 20 years ago. "Meet my mother-in-law," Lydia continued, her tone dripping with mockery. "She's got nothing better to do, so guess what? It's her job to keep this place spotless and wrangle my kids. What else is she gonna do with her time? Knit doilies all day." The words hit like a slap. Eleanor's breath caught as Lydia laughed, a sharp, cutting sound that echoed through the phone's tiny speaker. The video cut to a montage of the house. Eleanor folding laundry, stirring a pot of chili, pushing a vacuum, each clip overlaid with Lydia's voiceover: "Free babysitter, free maid, free chef. Who needs a retirement plan when you've got grandma?" The comments flooded in as Eleanor watched, frozen. Lol. Goals. Old ladies were born for this. Let her earn her keep. Queen behavior. Over 70,000 likes in a single day. Eleanor's hands trembled as she closed the app, the screen blurring through sudden tears. She set the phone down, stood on legs that felt like jelly, and walked to the kitchen sink. The glass she filled was one from her wedding set, chipped but cherished, a relic of 1968 when she and Samuel had promised forever. She drank slowly, the cold water doing little to ease the ache in her chest. From the upstairs bedroom, her old bedroom, the one she'd given up for Lydia and her son Nathan, came the sound of laughter. Lydia's voice, giddy and triumphant. "Babe, it's at 80,000 likes already! They're eating it up!" Nathan's chuckle followed, warm and familiar, the same laugh Eleanor had heard when he was a boy begging for one more bedtime story. "You're savage, Lids. Mom's too old to care what's on the internet anyway." The words sliced deeper than the video. Eleanor didn't cry. She didn't scream. She stood there, gripping the counter, and felt something shift inside her. A quiet, steely resolve. She'd spent decades yielding, shrinking herself to fit the needs of others. No more. Lydia had just lit a fuse, and Eleanor Grace Thompson was no longer the woman who would let it burn out. That night, she lay awake in the narrow guest room she'd moved into 5 years ago. the one with the slanted ceiling and a window facing the neighbor's brick wall. The house was quiet except for the soft snores from the master suite and the occasional creak of the old pipes. Eleanor's mind raced, replaying the video, the comments, Nathan's laughter. She thought of the house itself, every nail, every coat of paint, every memory embedded in its walls. She'd bought it in 1990, a rundown two-bedroom with peeling wallpaper and a leaky roof, using every penny saved from double shifts at the textile mill and weekend cleaning gigs. Samuel had died young, a heart attack at 45, leaving her with Nathan, then 4, and a mountain of medical bills. She'd carried them both, working until her fingers bled, selling homemade peach cobblers at the flea market, teaching herself to tile bathrooms from library books. This house was her triumph, her sanctuary, her legacy, and now it was a stage for Lydia's cruelty. At 4:30 a.m., as she did every morning, Eleanor rose. Her internal clock was relentless. She slipped into her worn terracloth robe, its hem frayed from years of washing, and padded to the backyard. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of dew on the grass. She sat on the stone bench beneath the pear tree she'd planted when Nathan was 6, its branches now heavy with fruit. In the dim glow of the streetlight, she let the memories flood back. Not to drown her, but to fuel her. She remembered the day she signed the deed, Nathan clutching her hand, his eyes wide as she unlocked the door to their new home. "Mommy, is this really ours?" he'd asked. She'd knelt down, tears streaming, and said, "Yes, baby. Forever." She'd meant it. Forever wasn't supposed to include being mocked by the woman her son married. Breakfast was a ritual Eleanor refused to abandon, even now. She made Nathan's favorite, fluffy biscuits with sausage gravy, scrambled eggs with chives from her garden, and fresh, squeezed grapefruit juice. The table was set with care, her mother's linen napkins, the ceramic pitcher painted with wildflowers, the good plates she saved for special occasions. Lydia came down first, scrolling through her phone, her silk robe slipping off one shoulder. "Morning, Eleanor," she said without looking up, her voice syrupy but distracted. Eleanor poured coffee into Lydia's monogrammed mug, the one she'd bought herself and guarded like a treasure. "Lydia," Eleanor said, her voice steady as steel, "we need to talk." Lydia's eyes flicked up, annoyed. "About what?" Eleanor didn't flinch. "I saw your video." The air in the kitchen thickened. Lydia's smile faltered, then returned sharper. "Oh, that? It's just TikTok, Eleanor. Lighten up. It's funny." Nathan's footsteps thudded down the stairs, his hair still damp from the shower. "What's going on?" he asked, sensing the tension. Lydia jumped in, her voice pitched high with practiced innocence. "Your mom's upset about a silly video I posted. It's just content, Nate. Everyone knows it's a joke." Eleanor pulled out her phone, her hands steady despite the tremor in her heart. She opened the app, found Lydia's profile, and played the video. Nathan watched, his expression shifting from curiosity to unease. When it ended, he rubbed the back of his neck. "Mom, it's just social media. Lydia's got a big following. It's not about you." Eleanor's voice was low, controlled. "She filmed me without asking. She called me useless to thousands of strangers. You laughed with her." Nathan's face paled. "You hurt us." Lydia crossed her arms, defiant. "You said you loved helping with the kids. I was just repeating your words." Eleanor's eyes never left her son, Nathan, whose name is on the deed to this house. He frowned. "Yours, I guess. Why? Because I bought it in 1990, with money I earned sewing jeans, cleaning offices, selling pies. I laid the floors. I painted the walls. I gave you the master bedroom. I've never asked for rent, for gratitude, for anything but respect. And yesterday, you both laughed while the internet called me a burden." Nathan looked stricken, but Lydia scoffed. What pay the bills, Eleanor? The lights, the groceries, it's not free. Eleanor's laugh was bitter. You pay for my house, my stove, my table. And you think that gives you the right to humiliate me? The room was silent except for the tick of the kitchen clock. Nathan's voice was small. Mom, let's not fight. Eleanor stood, her biscuit untouched. I'm done fighting. I'm done being invisible. She walked upstairs, locked her door, and for the first time in years, let herself cry, not from weakness, but from a fury that had been simmering for decades. 3 days later, Eleanor moved with purpose. She cooked, cleaned, smiled at her grandchildren, Lily and Noah, but her eyes were sharp, taking in every detail. She noted Lydia's late nights out, the perfume that wasn't hers, the $200 dinner receipt from a restaurant Lydia claimed was a quick errand. On Wednesday night, unable to sleep, Eleanor crept downstairs for chamomile tea. The house was dark, the only sound the hum of the refrigerator. She was about to head back when she heard Lydia's voice from the patio, low and conspiratorial. No, Mom, it's not time yet. She's stubborn, but she's old. The house goes to Nathan when she's gone. Lawyer confirmed it. We've lived here 6 years, we've got rights. Eleanor froze, her tea forgotten. Lydia's voice continued, cold and calculating. It's worth $500,000. Sell it, move upscale, invest the rest. Ethan doesn't suspect a thing. He's too soft on her. Eleanor's hand slipped into her robe pocket, instinctively hitting record on her phone. Lydia's words poured out the plan to wait for her death, the lawyer's advice, the dismissal of Eleanor's life as a fleeting obstacle. When Lydia hung up, Eleanor was already upstairs, her heart pounding but her mind clear. She played the recording twice, ensuring every word was captured. Then she opened her address book, a worn leather notebook filled with numbers from a lifetime of connections. She dialed Clara, her neighbor and a retired paralegal. Clara, I need a favor. It's about the house. Next, she called her cousin Marlene, a real estate agent with a knack for discretion. Marlene, can you look up what this place is worth? And keep it quiet. The next morning, Eleanor met Clara at a diner downtown, a cozy spot with checkered tablecloths and bottomless coffee. Clara listened to the recording, her face hardening. Eleanor, this is fraud and intent. You need a lawyer. Eleanor nodded. I have one in mind. She called her nephew Marcus, a probate attorney who'd always said, Aunt Elle, you call me any time. Marcus arrived at Clara's condo an hour later, his suit crisp, his eyes kind but serious, over coffee and Marlene's market analysis. Confirming the house's $520,000 value, they crafted a plan. A revocable living trust to protect the property, a new will with conditions, and an eviction notice if needed. You're within your rights to remove them, Marcus said. No lease, no rent, no claim. Eleanor's plan unfolded over weeks. She documented everything. Lydia's late nights, Nathan's obliviousness, the children's toys scattered like evidence of her labor. She met with a locksmith, a storage unit manager, and even a local journalist who'd heard whispers of her story through Marlene's network. On a Friday, Lydia announced a spontaneous weekend trip to a lakeside cabin, a work perk, that conveniently excluded the kids. You're sure you're okay with Lily and Noah? Nathan asked, hesitant. Eleanor smiled, her eyes twinkling with a secret. We'll have a blast. Cookies, cartoons, the works. Lydia barely hugged her goodbye, already distracted by her phone. As their car pulled away, Eleanor sprang into action. She called Marcus, who arrived with a moving crew and a truck. For 6 hours, they emptied the master bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, every modern appliance, every designer couch, every monogrammed towel Lydia had brought. Eleanor's old oak dining table, stored in the garage, was brought back. Her mother's quilt replaced Lydia's sleek duvet. The house breathed again, reclaiming its soul. Marcus changed the locks, handing Eleanor a shiny new set of keys. "It's yours, Aunt Elle." Always was. Monday evening, Eleanor sat in her restored living room, the oak table set with her wedding china, a pot of chicken stew simmering. Lily and Noah played in the yard, their laughter a balm. The car pulled up at 500 sharp. Keys rattled uselessly against the new lock. "Nate, it's not working." Lydia's voice was shrill. Eleanor opened the door, her beige dress crisp, her posture regal. "I changed the locks," she said simply. Lydia's face contorted. "What is this?" Nathan looked dazed. "Mom, what's going on?" Eleanor stepped aside. "Come in. Leave the bags outside." The sight of the transformed house hit them like a wave. Lydia ran upstairs, her screams echoing, "My bed! My clothes! My TV!" Nathan followed, his voice breaking. "Mom, where's our stuff?" Eleanor's voice was calm. "In a storage unit on Pennicrest Drive. Inventored, photographed, safe." She played the recording. Lydia's plans, her cold calculations, filled the room. Nathan sank to the floor, sobbing. Lydia stammered. "It's a misunderstanding." Eleanor's eyes were fire. "It's my house, my life, my dignity." Marcus arrived, laying out the trust documents, the inventory, the storage key. "Mrs. Thompson is the sole owner. Your stay was a privilege, not a right." Eleanor laid out her terms. FAR's 800 monthly rent, shared chores, respect, and a public apology from Lydia. "Or you leave. Nathan and the kids can stay." Lydia's defiance crumbled. Nathan, tears streaming, agreed to everything. Lydia deleted the video, her hands shaking, and recorded an apology in the yard. Raw, tearful, admitting her cruelty and Eleanor's sacrifices. It went viral, sparking a wave of stories from women reclaiming their worth. Months later, the house hummed with new rhythms. Nathan cooked Tuesdays, vacuumed Thursdays. The kids helped with dishes, giggling as they dried Eleanor's floral plates. Lydia moved out, her visits polite but distant. The apology video inspired a movement. Que Grandma's Reclaim became a hashtag, with women sharing stories of defiance. Eleanor, now a quiet icon, received letters from strangers. "You gave me the courage to leave my son's couch and buy my own apartment." She kept them in a box under her bed, next to her wedding glass. One spring evening, Eleanor sat beneath the pear tree, its fruit ripe and golden. Nathan joined her, handing her a document renouncing any claim to the house. "It's yours, Mom. Always?" She hugged him, tears falling. "It's ours, son. But I'm done disappearing." Her story, told through Marlene's viral videos and a national news segment, reached millions. Eleanor Grace Thompson, once invisible, was now a beacon. She was steel, not glass, and her voice echoed far beyond her bungalow's walls. The summer after the great upheaval arrived with a vengeance, the kind of heat that turned the air thick and the asphalt soft underfoot. Eleanor Grace Thompson stood at her kitchen window, watching the pear trees shimmer in the haze, its leaves heavy with the weight of another season. The house was quiet for once. Lily and Noah at day camp, Nathan at his office downtown, the hum of the old window, unit air conditioner the only sound. She wore her favorite cotton house dress, the one with tiny violets she'd sewn herself in 1987, and her hands moved with practiced ease as she sliced peaches for a cobbler. The fruit was from the neighbor's tree, traded for a jar of her blackberry jam. Barter, she thought with a smile, was the original social media. 6 months had passed since the locks changed, since the storage unit filled, since Lydia's tear-streaked apology had ricocheted across the internet. The house had settled into a rhythm that felt less like a truce and more like a treaty. Nathan paid the rent on the first of every month, slipping the envelope under her bedroom door like a child leaving a note for the tooth fairy. He cooked on Tuesdays and Thursdays now, his spaghetti sauce improving with every attempt, though he still overdid the oregano. Lily had taken to setting the table without being asked, arranging the silverware with solemn precision, while Noah insisted on watering the herb garden every evening, his small watering can sloshing over the sides of his sneakers. Eleanor had reclaimed more than furniture. She'd reclaimed mornings. She woke at 5 now, not out of obligation but desire, padding to the kitchen to brew coffee in her old percolator, the one Lydia had relegated to the garage. She read the newspaper on the porch, her bare feet on the warm wood, the scent of jasmine from the trellis drifting over her like a blessing. She'd started a small online shop, nothing fancy, just her handwritten recipe cards laminated and tied with twine, sold through Marlene's TikTok. Grandma Eleanor's Kitchen Wisdom. The packages read, they sold out in hours. She donated half the proceeds to the local women's shelter, the one that had helped her friend Clara escape an abusive marriage 30 years ago. But peace, Eleanor knew, was rarely permanent. It was a garden, not a monument, and gardens needed tending. The first crack appeared in July, subtle as a hairline fracture in porcelain. Nathan came home late one Thursday, his tie loosened, his eyes red-rimmed. He kissed the kids, he said, his voice rough. Long day, Eleanor asked, setting a plate of fried chicken in front of him. He nodded, but his gaze slid away. She didn't press. She'd learned that silence could be a question too. The next morning, Lily lingered at the breakfast table after Noah had run outside. Grandma, she said, tracing the grain of the oak table with a sticky finger. Why does Mommy cry when she thinks we're asleep? Eleanor's heart stuttered. She set down her coffee cup. What do you mean, sweetheart? Lily's eyes, the same hazel as Nathan's, were old beyond their 9 years. I heard her on the phone. She said she misses us, that she made a mistake, that she wants to come home. Eleanor knelt, wiping jam from Lily's chin. Grown-ups make mistakes, baby. Sometimes big ones. But your mommy loves you. That never changes. Lily nodded, but her small face was troubled. Will she come back? Eleanor hesitated. That's up to your daddy. And to her. Nathan didn't mention it. But the signs were there, the extra hours at work. The way he flinched when his phone buzzed, the new password on his laptop. Eleanor recognized the pattern. She'd lived it once, with Samuel, in the months before his heart gave out. Secrets were heavy things. They left bruises. The second crack came in August, delivered by Marlene over iced tea on the porch. Cousin, she said, fanning herself with a church bulletin, Lydia's got a new man. Eleanor's eyebrows rose. Already, Marlene nodded. Some influencer type, travel vlogger. They're doing a series. Second chances in the suburbs. She's calling it redemption content. Eleanor snorted. Redemption doesn't come with a ring light. Marlene's eyes gleamed. She's hinting at moving back in. Saying the kids need stability. That you're too set in your ways to raise them properly. Eleanor's laugh was sharp. She's welcome to try. The third crack was a letter, slipped under the door on a Tuesday when the sky was the color of a bruised peach. Eleanor found it after her afternoon nap, the envelope thick and official. She recognized the law firm's letterhead, Marcus's old office, before he'd gone solo. Inside was a petition. Lydia was seeking joint custody and requesting the court order Eleanor to allow overnight visits in the home, claiming the current arrangement was emotionally damaging to the children. The language was clinical, cruel. The maternal grandmother has created a hostile environment. The children are being alienated from their mother. Eleanor read it twice, then folded it neatly and placed it in her recipe box, between the cards for lemon bars and cornbread. That night, she called a family meeting. Nathan, Lily, Noah and, after a long moment of consideration, Lydia, who arrived in a linen dress and oversized sunglasses, as if attending a garden party instead of a reckoning. They gathered in the living room, the oak table between them like a battlefield. Eleanor served sweet tea and peach cobbler because even wars needed sustenance. "Lydia," Eleanor began, her voice steady as the ticking clock, "I received your petition." Lydia's sunglasses slipped down her nose. "It's not personal, Eleanor. It's about the kids." Nathan's jaw tightened. "You didn't discuss this with me." Lydia's chin lifted. "You've been distant. I had to act." Eleanor slid the letter across the table. "You claim I'm hostile. That I'm alienating the children. Let's ask them." She turned to Lily and Noah, who sat wide-eyed on the couch. "Do you feel unloved here?" Lily shook her head. Noah piped up. "Grandma lets me eat cookies for breakfast sometimes." Lydia flinched. Eleanor continued, "Do you miss your mother?" Both children nodded. Lily's voice was small. "But we like it here too." Eleanor looked at Lydia. "They miss you. That's natural. But this," she tapped the letter, "isn't about love. It's about control." Nathan spoke for the first time, his voice low. "Lyd, we're in therapy. We agreed to take it slow. This feels like sabotage." Lydia's eyes filled with tears, real ones this time. "I just want my family back." Eleanor leaned forward. "You had a family. You chose to lie, to scheme, to humiliate. Families aren't possessions. They're choices, made every day." The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. Finally, Lydia whispered, "I'll withdraw the petition. But I want scheduled overnights. Here, with supervision." Eleanor nodded. "We'll set a schedule. But the rules stand: respect, contribution, honesty." The new arrangement began awkwardly. Lydia arrived on Fridays with a duffel bag and a forced smile, sleeping in the guest room that had once been Eleanor's. She helped with dishes, folded laundry, read bedtime stories in a voice that still carried the echo of her old performative cheer. The children adapted faster than the adults, their laughter filling the house like sunlight. But Eleanor watched. She saw the way Lydia's eyes lingered on the master bedroom door, the way her fingers traced the oak table as if measuring its worth. Old habits, Eleanor thought, died hard. In September, the storm hit. Not the kind with thunder and rain, but the kind that starts with a single comment on a viral video. Marlene's channel had grown. 500,000 subscribers, sponsorships from cookware brands, a cookbook in the works. She'd begun a series called Grandma's Reclaim, featuring women like Eleanor who'd taken back their lives. The latest episode was about a widow in Atlanta who'd turned her late husband's garage into a bakery. The comments were glowing, until one appeared, from an account with Lydia's face, but a different name. "Cute story, but some grandmas are just bitter. My ex-mill tried to destroy my family over a misunderstanding." Toxic elderly, the comment exploded. Within hours it had 10,000 likes. Old videos of Lydia's apology were dug up, dissected. She only apologized because she got caught. Influencers always play the victim. Marlene called Eleanor in a panic. "Cousin, she's trying to rewrite the narrative." Eleanor's response was calm. "Let her. The truth doesn't need a filter." But the damage was done. Nathan came home early, his face ashen. "Mom, the office is buzzing. Someone sent the comment to my boss. They think I'm unstable." Eleanor poured him coffee. "Your boss knows you. Let him see the man who cooks dinner for his kids and pays rent to his mother. That's stability." Nathan's eyes were wet. "I should have fought harder for us." "For you," Eleanor touched his cheek. "You're fighting now. That's what matters." The backlash grew. Lydia's new boyfriend posted a video, sunset selfies, captions about healing from toxic family. The comments turned vicious. "Hope the old hag rots. Grandmas like that deserve to be alone." Eleanor read them once, then closed her phone. She'd faced worse. She'd faced empty cupboards and hospital bills and the silence after Samuel's funeral. This was noise. Then came the olive branch, unexpected and fragile. Lydia showed up on a Wednesday, unannounced, her eyes red from crying. "Eleanor," she said, standing on the porch, "can we talk alone?" They sat in the backyard, the pear tree dropping fruit with soft thuds. Lydia's voice was small. "I ended things with Derek, the vlogger. He wanted me to lean into the drama, milk the oval mother-in-law angle for views. I couldn't." Eleanor waited. Lydia continued, "I've been seeing a therapist. Not the couple's one, my own. She says I have attachment issues, that I use people to feel secure." Eleanor's heart softened, just a fraction. "And what do you think?" Lydia looked at her hands. "I think she's right. I thought if I had the house, the kids, the perfect life, I'd be safe. But I destroyed the only real safety I had." She met Eleanor's eyes. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to earn back trust. Not for me, for Lily and Noah." Eleanor studied her. The girl who'd once mocked her in a coral sweater was gone. This woman was raw, unfinished, but trying. "Trust is a garden," Eleanor said. "You can't force it. You water it, weed it, wait for it to grow." Lydia nodded. "I'll wait." The healing was slow, incremental. Lydia started coming on Saturdays to bake with Eleanor, her hands clumsy with pie crust but eager. She asked questions. About Samuel, about the factory, about the night Eleanor laid the kitchen tiles with a flashlight between her teeth. Eleanor answered, not with warmth, but with honesty. The children noticed. "Mummy's different," Noah whispered one night, curled against Eleanor's side. "She smiles real now." Eleanor kissed his forehead. "People can change, baby. But it takes time." In October, Marlene's cookbook launched. The dedication read, "To my cousin Eleanor Grace Thompson, who taught me that steel magnolias don't just survive, they bloom." The launch party was in the backyard, fairy lights strung through the pear tree, tables groaning with cobbler and fried chicken. Nathan gave a speech, his voice cracking. "My mom built this house with her hands and her heart. She taught me that love isn't sacrifice. It's strength." Lydia stood in the back, clapping, her eyes shining. She didn't speak, but she stayed to clean up, washing dishes beside Eleanor until the moon was high. Winter came early, the first frost painting the windows. Eleanor sat at the oak table, writing Christmas cards in her careful script. Nathan joined her, sealing envelopes. "Mom," he said, "I've been thinking about the house." Eleanor's pen paused. "It's yours, always, but I want to add your name to the trust. Not as an owner, as a protector. If something happens to me, you'll make sure Lily and Noah always have a home here, no one else." Eleanor's eyes filled. "You'd do that," Nathan nodded. "It's what you taught me. Family isn't about blood, it's about choice." On Christmas Eve, the house was full. Lydia arrived with a store-bought pie. Humble, not performative. They ate around the oak table, the children's laughter echoing off the walls Eleanor had painted butter yellow in 1995. After dinner, Lydia pulled Eleanor aside. "I have something for you." She handed over a small box. Inside was a key, old and brass. "It's to my apartment," Lydia said. "I'm giving it up. I'm moving into a studio. Smaller rent. I'm going back to school, culinary arts. I want to earn my way, not take it." Eleanor turned the key in her fingers. "And the kids?" Lydia smiled, real this time. "They'll have 2 homes. Yours, and whatever I build. But I'll never ask for more than I deserve again." Spring returned, the pear tree heavy with blossoms. Eleanor stood on the porch, watching Lily and Noah chase fireflies. Nathan grilled burgers, his apron stained with sauce. Lydia arrived with a cake, lopsided, but made from scratch. They ate on the patio, the table set with Eleanor's wedding china, the good napkins, The wildflower pitcher. No one mentioned the past. It was there, in the scars on Eleanor's hands, in the faint crack in the oak table, where Noah had once dropped a bowling ball, in the trust documents locked in the safe. But it didn't define them. Later, when the children were asleep, the adults lingered under the stars. Lydia spoke first. "Eleanor," he said, "I used to think home was a place you could own. Now I know it's a place you're invited to stay." Eleanor raised her glass of iced tea. "To invitations," she said, "and to knowing when to accept them." They clinked glasses, the sound bright in the warm night. Eleanor Grace Thompson, 69 now, looked at her family. Flawed, fractured, but whole. She thought of the woman she'd been a year ago, invisible in her own kitchen, and the woman she was now, steel magnolias in full bloom. The house was still hers, but it was more than walls and deeds. It was laughter and cobbler, and the quiet strength of second chances. It was, finally, a home where no one had to disappear to be loved.